most important things that you could ever do. And they know. Some days I'm more wolf than woman, and I'm still learning how to stop apologizing for my wild. Welcome, wanderer of thought, to the garden of the mind, where dreams take root and seeds of awakening are sown. Here, we talk about everything from spiritual awakening, energy, astral travel, all the way to the collective energy, parenting starseeds, psychic gifts, addiction, and the human experience. What it means to truly ascend, from the magic to the mess, and how we are all navigating and alchemizing our way through it. A place where we have the space to remember who we truly are. I'm your host, Mandy Hayes. Welcome to Brain Flowers. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Brain Flowers. Today we are talking to Rod Robertson, the famous, amazing intuitive medium who has been doing readings for the last, 40-something years?
46 years.
46?
50, actually.
50 years. He is also my business partner and a really, really great friend who I know has a tremendous amount of stories. All true, all verifiable, but some really, really interesting things to talk about. So we've been going through spiritual awakening journeys with different people to understand that they're not black and white. They're not cookie cutter. They don't look like one particular thing. Everyone experiences them so differently. So today we're going to talk to Rod and see what his experience has been like. Hello, Rod. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is so cool.
Anytime, anytime. So, can you first of all tell us what it is that you do?
Well, I do obviously a variety of things, but essentially I am a medium that I rely very much on getting messages from the other side, as I do what I call angel reading. I do auric readings. I am not a medical intuitive, but I do, if it comes to me, I give it to people.
Yeah.
I like to say that I'm basically an intuitive energy reader, because all of this is energy.
Right.
So I basically, for some reason in my life, I've been able to tap into all of it, and I concentrate. Each person that comes to me gets a very different type of reading.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It's not the same for everybody.
Yeah, it's whatever you bring with you and whatever I pick up.
Yeah.
So
you can have a whole group of people come in and everybody's going to come out with a different experience.
I've had people come in, they've sat in front of me, and next thing I know, they've got 15 spirits around them.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people come in and it's crickets. There's nobody.
Right.
But that's because of where they're at. That's an energy signature they're carrying with them. And maybe they're not there for that. Maybe they're there for something more personal, for like a current life type thing.
Right.
So
that's wonderful. So, growing up, what was it like for you? When did you first realize that you could see and...
I have done it all my life, I mean from birth.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, the first time something happened where I realized it wasn't normal, I was about 6 years old, and the family was sitting in the living room. We had a tri-level home, and I came running down the stairs, ran through the living room, and smacked straight into a wall and knocked myself out. When I came to, they're like, "What were you doing?" And first thing I said was I was following that little boy. And I remember watching him just run through the wall. And I'm 6. If he could do it, I could.
Clear as day.
Yeah. It didn't happen that way.
Right.
But that was the first moment of something showing up.
Right.
And then there were things to where, like, I would be asking, hey, who's that person in our yard? Parents would look out. There was no one there. we would go to funerals, and I would say things like, "Hey, I thought such and such was dead," and because I'm seeing them standing there, you know. And as I got older, I was fortunate enough to have a couple of very good mentors who, even at that age, realized there was something more than just a child trying to make things up, you know. And as I got older, when I was 9 years old, I died and was resuscitated. I saw death. For me, and this is an interesting thing, I believe death is different for everyone. For me, death is Azrael, the true angel of death, but it's a female. Okay. She came to me like a mother figure, and she wouldn't let me pass. She sent me back. From that point on, I started sensing a lot of things. I could tell the weather. Wow. Literally, we would go camping. My dad would say, "What's the weather going to be?" And I'd say it, and I knew.
Does that came through as just a knowing or a feeling?
They would ask, and I'd tell them. I knew. It's going to be sunny out, or I'd say it's going to rain.
And for the figures that you saw, the people who passed over that you saw them like a real person, like they materialized in front of you?
I see these at different levels.
Okay.
Very often I see them just like you and I, just like we're having a conversation. Newly passed people, if they have not crossed over yet, very often I will see them solid, like, you know. Once they pass over and come back, I have noticed I see them at a time in their life when they're the happiest.
Yeah.
So they could die at 90 years old, but I'm seeing them at 40.
Right.
Or 60 or something like that. And it took me a while to realize that's what was going on. That's how they wanted to be. But sometimes I see a mist and I just know. And I'll tell people, I'm very honest. You know, I'm not sure if this is a man or a woman. And then I'm like, let's give it a minute, see what they're going to give. And then they'll give me things. I ask for what I call identifiers. You think about anyone in your life that you've lost, and there's something about them. There's a moment, there's a thing that if you see it, it's them. Right. It reminds you of them, you know. I tell the story about this is back when we had Indigo Age, 20-something years ago. Woman came in, and as she was sitting there, a man a little older than her started showing up, and he's standing there. And as we're talking, every time I would look at him, he had a different type of cheese with him. And I thought it was the weirdest thing. And I finally said, look, there's a man here who I believe was either an ex-boyfriend or you know, because this person loved you very much, but every time I see this person, they have a different type of cheese. She kind of happy, cried, laughed type thing.
Yeah.
And she explained to me, and this is way back when Viagra had just come out, that he had found out he had cancer, they wanted a baby, so they decided they were going to try and have a baby because he had inoperable cancer. So they used, I think it's called cylindrical, or now we call it Viagra. And it was, you never knew.
Right.
So one day they were at a gathering, and it kicked in, so he told her, honey, oh my God, we got to go home. I left the cheese on the counter. We've got to go. So it became their, I guess you could say, their safe word.
Yeah.
And he got creative. Oh, the Limburger was left out, you know. And that was actually a turning point for me, because that's when I learned not to filter.
Yeah.
I give people everything I see. But that was, I could have identified his look. I could have identified what he did for a living. But that.
Holding cheese.
That was the identifier. And that's what I look for. Because we all have that thing. So yeah.
That's amazing. I could, trying to put myself in the position of that woman sitting there, the relief, the closure, the everything. And, you were able to offer her that with your abilities. That's incredible.
The first time professionally that ever happened, I was in Louisiana, and I was being trained as, she called it something else, I can't remember. Never have a Romanian train you. They're funny people. But a woman came in, and we were sitting there, and I said, there's a man here next to you with a dog, and they were both soaking wet. and she started crying. And I'm like, are you okay? You know, because it's the first time something came through that solid professionally for me.
Right.
And I said, well, he's saying to tell you were right. He shouldn't have gone. Boom, boom, boom. Well, Lilia, who was my teacher, came in because she heard the crying. She says, is everything okay? We explained it to her. And the woman said she didn't want him to go out fishing that morning, and he didn't listen. And he was on Lake Pontchartrain, which is a huge lake down there, and a squall hit, and him and the dog drowned.
Oh my God.
But that came through that way, and she left there, boom. And she was actually a regular client of mine until I moved.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't blame her.
And you know, but that's how stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
You know, on another level, where I like I say, I will never claim to be a medical intuitive. I personally don't like that term, but that's me. We all have our things, you know.
Right.
But I have had things where I see gray or black. If I see gray in an area, I'll ask someone, you know, is there an issue with your hearing? You know, if I see black, I have on 3 occasions seen black and told the people, look, you need to go to the doctor now. I had one woman who came to see me when we had the old store, and I looked at her, I said, I'm stopping this reading. You need to get to the emergency room. She goes, why? I said, I think you're having a heart attack.
Oh my goodness.
And she left, and I said, if I'm wrong, I'll pay for I'll pay for it. But and she, sure as anything, she was having a heart attack. Her daughter let me know a few years later that I'd saved her life just by doing that.
Wow.
Part of it was the fact that I learned to pay attention to it and not just put it off as, you know,
Right.
I don't filter anything. I get names. I give them to people. And I love people came back, you know, you gave me like 4 names, didn't make any sense. Why just switch jobs? And my 4 coworkers, you know. So
That's the thing, though. You don't know, right? So, like, when a person is coming in and in their energy field, they're carrying around either like a past loved one or a guide or an ancestor that they've never met before or future stuff, like you just said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. People don't realize how energy works. There's no person in the world that hasn't gone in somewhere and seen someone and said, you know, that person is so familiar to me. I know I don't know that person, but I know that person. That is what I call a past life conjunction. That is where your past life energy and their past life energy somehow was connected, and you've connected, but it's not meant for this life.
Right.
But you feel
the
it.
energy knows each other.
It's just like when you meet someone and you're immediately fast friends, or the other way, you're
Right.
immediate enemies. It's because of past life energy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's a remarkable thing when people come in and say, you know, there's this person, you know, and I don't know why I know them, but boom, 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 and then right off the bat, I'm like, it's probably a past life connection,
Right.
you know.
So growing up, like being as open and aware as you were from the very beginning, like how was it with making friends? How was it with your family? Was it accepted?
I was more or less told to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
I had a grandfather who kind of helped me out a little bit. But I was told that people think I was crazy, yada, yada. I actually had a very, very, I won't say which religion, but they were very devout. And the mother wouldn't let her kids play with me anymore.
Oh.
When people found out. The problem was, as a kid, you have no filter.
Right.
So I remember one day being somewhere, and I was at someone's house, and their grandfather was there, and I said, he wasn't there, but I said in front of a few people, he's dying. Because I sensed it. I sensed that energy. Not knowing. I think I was about 10 years old, you know.
Right.
And he died about 3 months later, and oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know. But overall, I'll be honest, I kind of kept it more to myself. I would do some simple stuff. And to be honest with you, I hit about 15, 16. It's a good way to impress girls.
Oh, really?
You know, tell them stuff that how do you know that? I just know things.
Thanks,
you know.
God.
Yeah, you know. And it was, in all honesty, because that age, you know, you're a guy.
Right.
But I hit 18 and then life began, and I had a friend who kind of introduced, because I really didn't know about a lot of this. We had an acquaintance in the family named Jean Dixon.
That's like an author name right there.
That is Jeannie Dixon, man. The original grandma of all of this, who really was big in the spiritual movement. Aww. And she actually, I believe, mentored Sylvia Brown for a while.
What?
Yes. But we had an acquaintance, and she kind of, I remember my mom and I were, I don't know who the woman was, we were at her house, and Jeannie Dixon was there, and she told my mom, she goes, this one's, I had a woman who was a Chautauqua tent preacher named Alice Sunday.
That's a beautiful name.
Who knew that she even pointed out that I had this ability, but she had the cutest daughter. We were both the same age, and her name was Adrian.
Oh.
And I did not see Adrian again for 11 years.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I met Adrian when I was about 10 years old. Yeah. At a relative took me to a Chautauqua tent preacher, and it was her daughter.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That really is.
And then, of course, 11 years later, I met her. 10 years later, I met her in Louisiana. I can't think of the name of the town. So.
And there she wrote.
And there she wrote. I walked into an African Methodist church. Tried to sneak in. Never sneak in an old church. Those big wooden doors. I walked in. I knew the young minister there. We were talking. I guess I should add to the fact that I wanted to get into the ministry. Long story.
Oh, I was going to get into that with you in a minute anyways.
And so I snuck into this church, and he invited me. He said, come up and talk. And he goes, introduce yourself. Before I could say a word, I heard the most prettiest Creole voice say his name's Rodney Robertson, and he likes lemonade and cookies. And I turned, and it was Adrian, and I knew it was Adrian.
Oh.
She knew it was me. And from 10, you change a lot.
Right. That's amazing.
So, yeah.
That makes my heart flutter. So, this has been a huge thing for me for like the last, I don't know, for a long time, but especially like recently, the whole traditional religion, not verse, because that sounds has like negative connotations towards it, but traditional religion and spirituality. Like, they can work together really wonderfully, but it seems like there's such a clash between the two. And I know that, so you were in the ministry, like that is what you did.
I married people and I buried people.
And now, you've been doing readings for 50 years. So, like, can you tell us a little bit about that? How they intermingle, how they work? I
will tell you something, and this is, I have always been interested in religion. I mean, I was always, there was a book called The Advent of Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach. And it was one of the first books I read that opened my mind to something. It was about a man who was chosen to be Messiah, but he chose not to be. He said, I don't want to do this. But he would go around and he would do little miracles and never get credit for it or anything like that. But what was interesting is, as you read this book, at the very end of it, it says, not everything in this book may be true. To me, that sums up man's religion. Man's religion are the churches, and this is nothing wrong with that. Someday I think I'm going to probably end up with a little white church or something. But we have lost spirit in most modern religion, and that is the difference to me. Man's religion is what we see as the churches. True religion or spiritual religion are the teachings. Buddha, God, Confucius, Tao, all of these. People have forgotten. These are philosophies.
Right.
Jesus didn't come down to start a religion. In fact, he even said, do not place me higher than my Father.
Right.
So Christianity does that. And that's not what he wanted. He said, I'm giving you these things to live by. The Beatitudes, the Ten Commandments, the whole thou shalt nots, all of these things. This is what we should be concentrating on. And it's gotten lost.
Absolutely. So I was reading, I swear to you, there was like a 2-week stint where I've just like these pamphlets about religion and about
I remember
Jesus in particular were just literally placed at my feet everywhere I went, and I couldn't figure it out until I figured it out. But when I'm reading one of these pamphlets, I was in a hairdressing place by my house. Lovely people, lovely place. I'm reading this pamphlet, and like in the back of the pamphlet it says, ignore your emotions, they will lead you astray. And I'm like, but in spirituality, it's like your emotions are your internal compass to tell you and show you like where you should go and where you should not go. Discernment,
yes.
Right? And there was another part in that same pamphlet. I just got chills all over my arms and legs. There was another part in the beginning of that pamphlet that had like a seat that represented like what you put forth in your life, right? 2 different seats. And one of them was you put yourself first, so that's you straying away from God, which in a sense I can understand. And the other seat was a cross that represented Jesus. You put Jesus first, you keep closer to God and whatever. But in my mind, when I'm reading this whole pamphlet, I'm like, if you can replace the word Jesus, because he was a man that came here to teach us things, if you replace the word Jesus with the word love, that makes sense to me. I get that. I flow with that all day long. But it just, to me, has become so like, if you don't love Jesus, then you're going to hell. It's like, what?
Understand that when the Christian movement started, it was based on the philosophies of Christ. It was based on his teachings.
Right.
Well, then there was a point to where a fellow by the name of Constantine claims he saw a crucifix, a giant cross in the horizon in a battle that he won, and suddenly declared that Christianity was the world religion. And he got all of these people together, and he said, I want you guys to get everything you know about this religion and bring it to me. And created the Constantine Bible. It became a tool. It was at that point, I want to say 400 AD, and don't quote me on that, 400 AD, 600 AD, somewhere in that 200-year span. He basically created the Bible.
Like a half of a whole, like 1,000 years later after Jesus died.
Absolutely, and it was based on writings, teachings, letters, some historical fact. It was based on so many things. But what he did was I can't remember what they called it, but he got these, I think it was 100 teachers, religious people, all these people, he got them all together. They decided they would read letters. This doesn't work. This doesn't fit. And they basically created this. That was still okay because it was still a philosophy. It was still, it was when the power of the control of that became apparent.
And let's massacre, thousands of people.
Absolutely.
Millions of people.
It stopped being the philosophy and started being a religion. And that is why I say man's religion versus spiritual religion. Jesus came here with a very spiritual religion, and it was taken over. And then look around the world how certain groups said, well, I like this in here, but that doesn't work, so now we're going to do this. And boom. That's why now you have all these different religions. And the funny thing is at the core of every one of them are these teachings, but they don't follow them.
Right.
Because, no, you ever wonder, why do you need a minister?
Why do you need a minister? To tell you what to do and not to do?
To tell you what's right and what's wrong? to ignore your emotions. Emotions are intuition, are instinct. Mm-hmm. They are God-given.
Yeah, natural, innate ability that all of us have.
If people would open to the God energy, Jesus energy, whatever you want to call it, or just plain spirit, if they would open to spirit and trust it, I've had a bad year. A lot of stuff had gone on, and there was a few points where I was ready to just say, you know what, I'm packing my truck and hiding, but I didn't, because I finally just said, you know what, sometimes you got to get so beaten down, you just say, you know what, I give up, do whatever.
Right.
And it is in that moment when you are given to spirit, and spirit will take care of it.
You just say, wow.
Look at how everything's, it's a little slower than I like, but I'm a tourist, so if it doesn't happen now, I get a little boop. But look at how it's changing.
I love that.
I'm back in and I just moved, as you know, mm-hmm. to a place that I feel so good. Mm-hmm. This little tiny apartment, my little cabin in the sky. Yeah. And it's all coming together. And it's not, I'm not through it all yet. I'll get there. But this whole, well, we're gonna send thoughts and prayers. Great. How about sending spirit? How about sitting there saying, we are gonna give you energy. We are gonna help you. We are gonna lift you up the way we know we can. Mm-hmm. Instead of, well, we're sending thoughts and prayers. Well, thoughts and prayers are great, but if you're not really a believer, it's like trying to it's like trying to blow up a water balloon and you ain't got no water. Right. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you can say this all you want. You can say, I'm going to pray for you all you want. If you are not in spirit, if you do not really truly believe, you're blowing in the wind.
Right. So with what you do, what's your most favorite thing about what you do?
I think for me, honestly, is when, gosh, it's such a hard thing because there's, all modesty aside, there's so many wonderful things I get to do doing what I do. But I think when I help someone find closure on someone's passing, mm-hmm. I love being able to do that. I also think when I give someone the power to take control of their lives and control their lives. I just wrote a book called Walking Away.
Wrote many books, by the way.
Yes, but Walking Away is about ending a toxic relationship, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether it's your heart, and whether it's the relationship you have with yourself. So, I love to be able to sit there, and if I can just plant a seed to someone, and they nurture it to become who they need to be, that is my favorite part of this.
Yes.
And it's not, they know I'm non-judgmental. They know, even though I was a minister, I'm not going to sit there and say, you got to find God. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, what do you believe in? And I've had people say, I don't believe in anything. Do you believe in yourself? Well, yeah, then you believe in something. That's your spirit. That is your foundation. And it all comes down to energy and spirit. Because it's there. Right now, the whole world's gone mad. We all know people are just walking around angry. Mm-hmm. They can't miss a chance on Facebook to say something angry. That's the energy. That's the energy they're drawing, the law of attraction.
Yeah.
And then they can't figure out, why is everything going to shit?
That's all you're focused on.
You're standing in the manure pit.
Right.
Get out of it. And it comes down to energy and what you do, and trying, for what we do, mm-hmm. I believe part of what we do is to help people tap into their own energy. You do Reiki, you do the QHHT. Boy, I could give the list here, but I can't remember it all because I'm freaking old. But we help them tap into the source that is themselves.
Yes, remembering who they are.
We are each. You always hear people say, a soul is a spark of God. Yes, it is. Replace God. Soul is a spark of the universe. It's still God.
Mm-hmm. source,
Arose by any other name.
Great Spirit, whatever.
Exactly. Whether you call it the priestess, the priest, the hag, Allah, Buddha, all of these, it's all the same source. It is man that blinds you and leads you in the wrong direction. It is spirit if you give into it. If you just say, guide me, create me, all you're saying is, hey, I'm allowing myself to be who I am. Mm-hmm. You're doing it. You're just you're drawing the energy you need.
So I know that you have helped mentor some people who are open and aware and in learning and developing their intuitive abilities, right? So for the people who are listening, I know we got some people in Dominican Republic, hey, and the United States, but wherever they're listening.
I love the beaches. I love their beaches.
If there is anyone who's listening who would love some tips on how to harness their abilities, how to create space for themselves to develop their intuitive gifts, what advice would you give them?
Number one, the foundation, the biggie.
Mm-hmm.
Trust. Trust. It exists. Trust your own instincts. So many people will be counterintuitive. How often we've all had that person say, this happened and I knew I shouldn't have done this, but I did it anyway because because one, you overthought it, two, you didn't trust your own instincts. Trust your instincts.
Yeah.
That is the number one thing. Trust your own power. The trouble is, we are raised into a world that sets these odd rules. We are told who are our wise people. And now we're starting to find out. We're now getting into 3 generations of people going, what the frog? No, that person doesn't know any more than I do, so maybe I should trust. Maybe I should research. Maybe I should learn. And it's changing. But what amazes me is when a person finally realizes, this is all within me. Mm-hmm. I can do this. Yeah. But so many people are afraid that they're going to say, I don't know if you remember this. We had a few people in here, and you let someone read you and stuff. And I can't remember which of the 2 ladies it was, but one of them said, I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing and cause a problem.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but it's when we were in the old office.
Right.
And we had a friend of mine come in. You were red, she was red, and we had someone, And I said, something? That's why you trust. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you may say something to someone and you may be like, where did I get that from? Where did I get that from? You got it from spirit. It's the answer. We fight it. Mm-hmm. We've all done it. I did it for a while. If I had $1 every time Lilia would come up, she did this little head flick for me. Every time she'd be like, stop it. Don't fight yourself.
Smack you on the back of the head.
Just stop it. Don't fight yourself. Only she had that Romanian accent,
Oh, I could picture
Dracula, Draculette, And I have that mental thing there where anytime I begin to doubt, it's like, stop it. You know where this comes from. You're tapping into the universe. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, I'm a telephone. Your guides, the spirits, they're calling you through me. Mm-hmm. Because there are times when I had someone say, how do you do what you do? I wish I could fully explain it. I'd write another book and I'd make a fortune. All I know is I trust that what I give comes from a higher place and a good place and a spiritual place. And to me, that is the foundation of all of this. There's so many different ways to help build your ability. I tell people all the time, get a deck of cards. Get a deck of cards. Shuffle them. Before you flip the card, try to guess what the color the card is. At first, go easy. What color? Black or red?
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. When you can go 3 times in a row guessing at least 50% of those cards, then switch to try to figure out what card it is. Not suit, just jack, ace, 2. Do that. When you can do that 50% of the time, then try to guess the color in the card. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're learning to trust your instincts.
That's a really, really good way to do that.
It's such a simple thing.
Yeah.
It really is. And then there are exercises. First of all, work with people. Well, you did the QHHT thing. Mm-hmm. What did they tell you? See how many people?
25.
25. And every one of those people was different.
Every single
Every
one.
experience. This is how you learn. One experience, you're going to sit there going, damn, I'm good. Next one, you're going to be like, I don't know.
It can be so deflating sometimes.
Because what you're learning is to do this, and that your instincts aren't just you.
Right.
You can be. I've had clients come in, sit in front of me, and go, no, I don't know who you're reading. No. Then come back a month later and going, how did you do that? Because some people have control issues that they won't let up on, so they're harder to get through to. Mm-hmm. But you don't doubt it. All the time. I've had people come in, well, I don't know. And then I would say 95% of the time people come back and go, everything you told me happened.
Crazy.
And I'm like, I don't know how, but I know. We're not meant to. I think if we understood exactly the source of this and book, I think it would freak us out because it's so magnificent. It's so powerful.
You drink coffee and you know things.
Absolutely.
Oh, so okay. So let's move this over just a little bit because you have a tremendous amount of books that you have written, and they are really, really good. So you're welcome. Where are they sold? What are they?
I basically right now just go through Amazon
mm-hmm.
and under Rodney A. Robertson. I have a variety. I wrote 2 books. One is called In the Shadows Darkly Lit, and the other one is Darker Souls, which kind of covers the first, I'm going to say, 40 years of my life.
In the Shadows Darkly Lit is my favorite.
And it talks about from birth, what I've gone through, my experiences, and different things. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit about Adrian in there. I've got a book about Adrian I'm still trying to write. But I've done that. And then I've also, because I love New Orleans, I've got a few haunted New Orleans stories. Mm-hmm. But they are based on actual legends and stuff like the Rougarou and the Axeman and that type of thing. And then, I'm in the current process of trying to publish a book for men mm-hmm. about how to be in a relationship, because no one's ever taught us. Yeah. I have Walking Away, mm-hmm. and then I have another one about grieving, healing, and all that. That one is in the I'm just waiting for them to clear it so it can go. So I'm a little bit all over the place there, but the intuitive books, the grieving, the walking away, these are based on 50 years of dealing with life, with people, with the way they grieve, and with things that happen.
Yeah.
I've heard more women say, I really love this guy, but he doesn't know how to feel anything. He doesn't. And that's where the idea of the book for men came out. And I'm trying to get it going. Beautiful. Trouble is, try to get a guy to read. So the ladies are going to have to buy it and insist, but...
Or, you have that voice. You could always make it an Audible book.
Everyone tells me that, and I should, but...
We could just take headphones and just, throw them over the guy's head as we're walking past, so they'll listen.
With super glue so he can't get them off till it ends.
Are you done yet? Yes. Well, you also made a tarot book.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I did a simple guide to tarot, mm-hmm. Just for beginners. Nice. I also did it. It's funny what we began talking about. I actually have kind of a guide to Christ, to the life of Jesus.
Okay.
Just kind of, it's really based on a lot of research that I did many years ago, and then as I began to write it, thank God for Google and the internet, I began to improve on it. But it basically explains, because Jesus Christ was Jesus of Nazareth was a true being. It was a true living human being. And it kind of talks about some of his life experiences and how he more or less became the so-called Messiah.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. There was someone...
I'm glad someone's keeping track of the books I've written. So.
Oh, you forgot one. There was someone who had said to me, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it might have been you. We've known each other for a long time.
Only if it was truly wise. No, go on.
Something about, if you meet, X amount of famous people, when you really sit down and think about it, it's because of the energy that you hold. You are born to do just, a lot more than just the normal everyday stuff. That's proof in the pudding kind of a thing.
People don't realize everyone has a purpose of being here.
Right. But
for some reason, humans have decided you have to have a purpose. Mm-hmm. You have to have this exact, you're going to be a plumber, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a teacher. We need all the, and so many people will do a job, and then all of a sudden they're like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
Because that's when something inside them is drawing them. And when that starts happening, you will always get the teachers you need when you need them.
Amen.
And that's Richard Bach. I'll give him credit. But for me, all my life, I've run into people who have either departed some wisdom on me, or there was just a purpose. When I was a kid, when I was dying, I was 9 years old, the whole blood poisoning thing. My dad found out there was a comic book convention in Chicago, and he went and he got Stan Lee's autograph from me on a comic book. I still have that book. And, holy cow, Years later, I wanted to meet him and tell him that story, and he either got sold out and I couldn't get in there, or something happened and they closed it down. And I think it's been about 10 years ago, maybe less. I'm in Las Vegas, in the airport, waiting for my flight. All of a sudden, walking down the thing is Stan Lee, his entourage. And I'm not a fan person who would run up because, give them their privacy.
Right.
I walked up and I said, "Are you Stan Lee?" And I said it very quietly. He goes, "Yes, I am, and thank you for being quiet." And he shook my hand. I said, "Can I say something real quick? I'll walk with you. I don't want you to be late for it." He goes, "No, we're good, And I said, and I told him the story about years ago. And I said, and he goes, "Your father was a big man." And I said, "Yeah, he was 6'2". He said, "He scared the hell out of me." And he goes, "I remembered." He said, "It was in Chicago." And I'm like, "No way are you remembering this?" And he did. And I shook his hand again. He walked away, and unfortunately, he passed a couple of years later.
Yeah.
But that's how my life has always been.
Yeah. I don't even remember the amount of famous people that you've told me about.
It's been crazy. It's just like I get on a plane, I'm sitting next to someone, I'm walking early morning in New Orleans. All the people I was in this room with were asleep. You know me. I'm up and out. I'm walking around. Here's this big guy walking this little dog, and all of a sudden I come up and I realize it was John Goodman.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, hey, talking to him and stuff. He was very nice. Never occurred to me to get a selfie, nothing. Walked down and I went, no one is going to believe me.
Right.
So I walk a little bit and I come back to this little diner. I'm sitting there, and big guy sitting here at the newspaper. And I'm sitting there. I kept looking. He turned the thing and he went, "Are you following me?" It was John Goodman again. I said, "No, I'm not, man." I said, "This is purely coincidental." And he kind of laughed. And I didn't bother him and stuff. But that thing, I was like, this is a guy who gets up early, just wants to go get his coffee, and and I think that's why when I do meet famous people, I'm not like, "Oh, hey, let's get a selfie," because can you imagine a life of that?
Oh,
constantly. You can't go anywhere. You know. But yeah, I've just. I was in the military. I'm standing around the head of some of the military people because they needed help. Ronald Reagan came down after a hurricane in Louisiana. I'm standing there. He stops in front of me and fills a sandbag, turns around and has a conversation with me. President of the United States. It's like,
hello.
My sister has that photo. It just came up again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been so weird that just certain people. My friend Dan and Lisa Smith, my friends, we went to I think it was Dearborn Comic Convention, and this limo pulls up, and I'm standing there talking. The guy gets out, backs into me, turns around. It was Norman Reedus, the guy who plays on Walking Dead. He plays Daryl on Walking Dead.
What?
Turns around, shakes my hand, says, "You're all right," boom, boom, walks away. I turned to him, I said, "Did anyone get a picture of that?" But see, I think it's because I know it sounds odd, but I think anyone you meet, if you have a moment, you've exchanged energy in some way, in some level. Maybe you gave them something or they gave you something, and you don't realize it. Hopefully that doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. But and through life, it's crazy. One more great story, and then I'll let you move on with this. 40 something years ago, K. Paul's, Shea Paul, I should say K. Paul, whatever, in New Orleans opened. I was there the first week it opened. It was so cool. I got to meet Paul Prudhomme, who was the big chef at the time. Wonderful. Adrian and I, we loved it, We left. 2 years ago on my 65th birthday, I'm back in there. I'm eating. No one's in there. It's empty. And the bartender's up there. And he goes, you timed it just right. I said, why? He said, this is our last week open. And I said, you're not going to believe this, but I was here for the first week it opened.
Oh my goodness.
So, is there any rhyme or reason to that? Possibly not.
It feels
it's like a circle of my life down there, King, one more place we used to go, Adrian and I would go, that really no longer exists. It's almost like folding up that lifetime in a nice, pretty little package.
I love that. So, with everything that you offer, how can people get a hold of you? And I will also put it in the show notes for people who are
absolutely. I recommend they text me, or they message me at the late Lord Byron at AOL.com. Mostly because I don't answer my phone a lot because of my hearing issues. Yeah. And it's just hard for me to hear on the phone.
Well, and telemarketers.
And telemarketers and but that would be the quickest way and the most efficient, And I'm pretty pliable with my hours and stuff. I mean, I have basic hours, but if I'm not doing plays or producing something, then I'm pretty open.
Yeah, and you do in-person and Zoom, right?
I do in-person and Zoom, and yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you take care of people across the ocean many times. So if anyone is interested in getting a reading from the famous Rod Robertson, I will put his information in the show notes for you to be able to get a hold of him. Are there any parting words of wisdom that you'd love to leave with these people?
Yeah, after Adrian passed away and her ashes were put in that cemetery, for years I'd visit, and every time I'd visit there was a little resurrection fern that grew out, and it always had a yellow flower. And the wisdom of this is that the body disappears, but the spirit doesn't. We are forever people. We are eternal. Yellow flowers were her favorite. That when I go there, that's her hello to me. You lose the body, but you don't lose the person. Spirit is always with you. Your greatest power is within you, and you've just got to believe in that. You've got to trust what you get. When you're with people, trust your instincts, regardless of what your heart says. Because, you know, instinct will always set you right, but the heart can be a liar.
Well, that's true. Some really wonderful words to live by. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you too.
Yes, until next time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, my friends, for sharing your time, space, and attention. If you like what you heard, please feel free to share with your friends, like, subscribe, comment, and leave a review. As always, I offer Akashic readings, tarot readings, energy readings, Reiki sessions, and QHHT sessions. If you're interested in booking a session with me, either online or in person, please feel free to visit my website, lemonsageandlavender.com. The energy exchange of your time and attention mean the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, I root myself in wonder. I open myself to bloom. I trust the journey of thought. Now get out there and blossom, my friends.